Good day, guys. Today we're gonna look at the concepts inheritance in the topic genetics. This is a brief lesson where I'm gonna briefly discuss all the terms that you must be familiar with when you enter this chapter. So let us begin. In genetics, we're gonna be studying about a man called Gregor Mendel. He is considered the father of genetics because through his work on pea plants, he discovered the fundamental laws of inheritance. These laws are the laws that guide us today when we look at this chapter. He came to a conclusion that genes comes in pairs and are inherited as distinct units, one from each parent. Remember in term 1 we spoke about meiosis, where meiosis ensures that each gamete will be having one, let's say, one chromosome from each parent. Those chromosomes, remember, makes up the DNA. Therefore, they'll be having the code for whatever particular thing or characteristic that must be made in the offspring. Now, without wasting any time, let us start. The first concept that we come across in genetics is chromatin. Now, a chromatin is a substance within a chromosome consisting of DNA and proteins. Remember that the DNA is tightly wrapped around the protein called histone. Now, these terms from term 1 are important for you to keep on, in your mind throughout because they are connected with this chapter. Now, the next concept that is here is chromatin. Now, sorry, not chromatin, chromosomes. Now, chromosomes are thread-like structures of nucleic acids and found in the nucleus carrying genetic information. Now, this, if we go back here, we'll see that we have a chromatin. Now, this chromatin will now become chromatids, then two chromatids held together by a centromere. Remember, they'll be making up a chromosome. Now, these chromosomes, they say, are thread-like structures of nucleic acids. Remember, RNA and DNA, and are found in the nucleus carrying genetic information. They have this genetic information that will be passed on from parents to offspring, and this genetic information will be having all the information about all the types of proteins that must be made in the individual and everything in and out. Now, this is our chromatin, which is found in the nucleus, where it is, and a chromatin is mostly this. It's chromatin network where it's made of threads. As you can see here, these are the network. But as the cell prepares itself for dividing, this chromatin network forms to become what you see here, which is a chromosome. And now the chromosome is made up of a chromatid, two chromatids held together by a centromere. Now you can see here the chromatin is tightly wound around a protein called histones. Then that is when we can now see this chromatin network becoming a DNA structure. But we have spoken about that. Let's continue. Then the third concept is gene. Look at the spelling. It's not as you write the gene that we wear. Now, a gene is a small portion of DNA coding for a particular trait or characteristic of protein. Now, this tells us that within a chromosome, there are sections or segments which we will now call what? Genes. And these genes will be coding for a particular protein or a characteristic. Now, the fourth concept we're going to come across is alleles. Now, alleles are two or more alternative forms of a gene found at the same place on a chromosome, and that place on a chromosome is referred to as a locus. That is where we're going to find a particular alleles, meaning that a gene will have two or more alleles that will be coding for a particular form of that characteristic. For example, we're going to have alleles for height. One allele will be for tall, another allele will be for short. Then we're going to come across those things and talk about them in detail. Now, we then have here, you can see that you have two alleles here. They are held together by something. Now, this is a chromatid and a chromatid. Now, these two here are that section or the locus where you find what? A gene. But in the gene, we'll be having what? We'll be having alleles. Then alleles will be two alternative or more forms of a gene found at the same locus, meaning that this will be coding for the same characteristic but in a different. Then we have the dominant allele. Now, a dominant allele is an allele that is expressed in the phenotype when found in the heterozygous, which is heterozygous, remember, different alleles. Then it also is expressed when it is in the homozygous condition. Homo, same, hetero, different. As you can see here, the homozygous condition is homozygous dominant because they are all dominant. Then we continue, we see that the number 6, we see a recessive allele. Now, a recessive allele is an allele that is masked in the phenotype when found in the heterozygous condition. It is recessive, it is held back. When it is combined with a dominant allele, it holds back, it is masked or hidden. As you can see here, we are saying this dominant allele is expressed in the phenotype. Phenotype, the physical appearance of an organism when it is in the heterozygous. When it is combined with a recessive allele, it occurs, and also it also occurs when it is in a homozygous condition, a dominant. Then this recessive allele will only occur when it is in the homozygous recessive condition because it is recessive. But when it is combined with the dominant allele, it is masked. It does not occur. For example, you can see here you have homozygous dominant. Now this is the genotype, the genes. It's found in the genes here. These are the alleles that are found in the genes, which will be coding for this color. As you can see, capital B is purple allele and then small b white allele. So meaning that the capital B codes for the purple color and the small b codes for the white color. As you can see in homozygous dominant, the phenotype, the color will be of a dominant allele, which is the purple allele. And also in heterozygous condition, the color, the phenotype of the organism will be determined by the dominant allele in a heterozygous condition. Only in a homozygous recessive is when you're gonna see the color that is coded or the characteristics that is coded by the recessive allele occurring in the phenotype. Remember, phenotype is the physical appearance. Then we have the definition of the phenotype. We say phenotype is a physical appearance of an organism determined by the genotype. The genotype, remember, the genotype, the genes. The genes are the ones that determine the physical appearance of an organism. E.g., the phenotype can be tall or short. Then the genotype is genotype. It is the genetic composition or genetic makeup made up by alleles. So this means now the genotype determines phenotype because the genotype talks about the genes, the DNA. Now the genes, as you remember, the DNA is the code of life. The genes that are found in the DNA will be coding for all the particular proteins or features of that organism. As you can see here, these letters represent the alleles, and the alleles are found where? In the genes. Now here you can see is the previous example, homozygous dominant, and this dominant allele codes for what? Purple color. Therefore you can see the offspring has what? Purple color because of the dominant allele. And here you can see the phenotype, which is the physical appearance. What you can see here is determined by the genotype. Here you can see this heterozygous, but since we have the presence of the dominant allele, it will hide or mask this recessive allele and occur in the phenotype. Then here you see the homozygous a recessive. This is the only time where a recessive allele will be appearing in the phenotype. It will only appear in the phenotype when it is in the in a homozygous recessive condition. This is what phenotype and genotype means. Phenotype, the physical appearance of an organism, and the phenotype is always determined by the genotype. And one thing you must keep in mind, when you're looking at an organism, you cannot see the genotype. You can only see the phenotype. the physical appearance. But you must remember that the physical appearance is determined by the what? By the genotype. Then we have homozygous. Now, homozygous is when we talk about two identical alleles for a particular characteristics, as we have seen that when you have two dominant alleles, they are homozygous because they are the same and they will be coding for the same trait or feature in the trait. Then you have this one as well. So it's either you have homozygous dominant or homozygous recessive. Then we have heterozygous. But remember, homo means same, hetero means different. So hetero is two different alleles for a particular characteristic. This is the case. And once it is like this, we know that the dominant allele is the one that is going to appear in the phenotype. This is an example. You can see here you have a chromosome. You have a chromosome, a complete chromosome made up of two chromatids. Now, each chromatid will have what? Will have an allele in the gene. Remember, gene same location or a segment on a chromosome that codes for what? For a particular characteristic. And in the gene, we find what? Alternative forms of what? Alleles. Here you can see in this one you have a dominant allele, you have a dominant allele, becomes homozygous dominant. Here you have a recessive allele, you have a recessive allele, becomes homozygous recessive. They are all homozygous. Then here we are all talking about heterozygous. A dominant allele, a recessive allele, and a dominant allele. Then this is the homozygous condition. We end here for now, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to comment below and share this video with your fellow classmates and friends so that we can all reach success. Thank you.